So now we are live now, and just let me check if everything is working. So we have actually, yeah, hiding the. So we are okay. Let me just check it. Yeah. So we are live now. Perfect. Now everything looks good.
Yep.
So 1 second. Yeah.
You have our questions, Renat?
Yes, everything is there. So I think we're live and going to stream in about a few seconds, actually.
Okay.
And yeah, so I can see already the first comment so from Andrew. Yes, so thank you. We may just wait for another couple of minutes for people to join us. And just a short greeting here from sunny Germany today, although we had just not a very good weather so far, but hopefully the weather will become better and better, because May so far was very, very cold and rainy. I'm sure about you, Alex and Rick. How's the weather in your places?
Pretty nice today. It's starting to get warm, and we're feeling the spring weather warm up and out of the allergy season here in the United States.
Very good, very good. So, yeah, I think we can already start with maybe a little short introduction. Well, people are joining. So, second, we have Facebook and YouTube online. I'm not sure about the LinkedIn should be also online. 1 second. Let me just quickly check it. And then, yeah. Oh, yes. Perfect. So I can even hear myself. So, welcome everyone. My name is Renzo Barov. I'm one of the founders and CEO of RevOS AI. So RevOS is actually a new startup, young company from Germany. We are building a revenue operation system which helps companies around the world with revenue operations. And I have two exciting guests today, as we are doing a joint webinar with the company AskForensics from US. Alex and Rick, I will just let them introduce themselves. So Alex, you want to start?
Sure. My name's Alex Brown, and I'm VP of Sales for AskForensics, and came into AskForensics actually by hiring Rick many years ago to evaluate a business that a friend and I wanted to buy. And when Rick did the analysis on their clients, we decided not to buy the business, and it saved me a lot of headache and a lot of thrown away money. So thank you, Rick, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Alex. Rick Reynolds, CEO and co-founder of AskForensics. Our tagline is win, retain, and grow. And what we'll cover today reflects a long-term personal and professional passion that I've had for many years. Our approach started with a venture capital firm, and at their urging, we built a business around it, and here we are today.
Excellent. Thanks, Alex and Rick. And we prepared a couple of slides today just to go through them, and also just to keep the conversation flowing. And this is an interesting. So this is an agenda for today's webinar. So first of all, we're going to speak shortly about like what we are doing all together on the same webinar, what RevOS does, and what AskForensics, and what we are doing together. Then we are going to deep dive into the counter-tensional case studies, which are very, very interesting case study prepared by the guys from AskForensics, as well as the suggestions how to improve it and grow the accounts. Not only retention, but also growth is definitely a very interesting focus and very interesting part. And then we go to the Q&A session. I think the whole webinar should take around about half an hour, and I hope you will have some questions at the end of the webinars to really enjoy this live conversation with experts on the webinar. And maybe just a few words about the RevOS. So RevOS is actually a low-code, no-code platform for revenue operations. And one part of revenue operations is definitely a customer success operations, especially in the environment we're all right now in the new reality, where the growth at all costs no longer works that well and no longer funded that well, where the capital costs are increasing like every week, every month. The retention and also the growth of existing accounts is becoming a very, very key focus. And this is also one of the areas where we're very, very active with RevOS by creating a predictive machine learning driven models for customer behavior, for existing customer behavior, as well as for existing customer growth on accounts, to really make sure that we have a very, very good, I would say, like a crystal ball that can be useful to proactively avoid churn and really strategically work with expansion. And we have also a small announcement for today. So we're actually launching a public beta of our platform, which we were developing last few months. And this is like a lot of improvements which went into the platform, a lot of development which we went to the platform, also a lot of support of early customers who are using this platform every day right now. And for the participants of our webinar, we're getting a special offer to get an exclusive 60 days free trial of our platform and try it out and make sure that you are thinking and really getting ahead of churn and also strategically addressing the expansion. And if you're interested, there's a link here, as well as there will be a link on the end of the webinar. Just sign up, and then we will reach out to you to arrange an environment set up for you. And then basically, what we are doing with AskForensics is definitely a very interesting topic, and I think Rick would continue from here.
Thank you, Renat. Yes, our focus at AskForensics is on account health and sales performance. We have two core programs. Account Forensics is an in-depth assessment of why accounts are strong, vulnerable, and damaged. So it's a very rich strategic insight into account health. Sales Forensics asks and answers the critical questions: why are our new and retention sales efforts won and lost? And we'll get into some more detail on our programs as we go through the case study. But those are our two primary programs. Bernat, you may go to the next slide. Well, as we wait for the next slide, what you'll soon see is a list of the corporations we have worked with globally. And we're very proud of not only the small and mid-sized businesses, but also the Fortune 1000 companies that we have partnered with over the years. And as well, we have established many strong university and academic contacts over the years and connections. And this has really helped spearhead our machine learning and artificial intelligence pursuits. And also in a unique way, as universities and professors have published our data over the years, we have our data has been through extensive scrutiny with peer reviews for publication. So we're very proud of that. And what we're looking at now is primarily our key focus. We provide unfiltered insights from senior client executives that our clients typically do not interact with. Our focus is to get into the senior C-suite, SVP, EVP levels, and we ask very probing and open-ended questions. Our interviews oftentimes encompass 30 plus minutes per interview, so it's not uncommon for an account to have an analysis built upon several hours of direct insights. Alex, I really welcome some of your thoughts into that.
Yeah, as a sales leader or an enablement leader, I think the key here is, what is the impact to the organization when you get that open-ended feedback, and it's nuanced information, and it's so much deeper than the voice of the customer surveys. And so getting that feedback back, especially for your larger accounts, can be critical when you think about forecasting, budget, and making the next decisions that you need to make as a sales leader or a customer enablement leader.
And one layer of critical thought on top of that is it is essential to act on these insights. Just the act of reaching out to senior clients and asking questions, that that communicates that as a provider, as a selling organization, that you are interested and want to improve. So it's essential that you act on these insights. And over the years, we have profiled in US dollars close to $23 billion of total contract value. And all of these insights go into our big database to enable us to provide some insightful analytics. And this is building our not only our statistical model, but also our machine learning AI model on unstructured data. And the bottom line of the common characteristic of the companies we work with is that we are evaluating strategic accounts, long-term accounts, 3-5-year contracts per cycle. Oftentimes our clients are on their third and fourth rebid. So it's not uncommon for us to gain insights from long-standing, decade-long customers. And that's what our focus is. We are not a transaction sales-focused company.
That's amazing. That's amazing story, Rick and Alex. That's I know we've heard very frequently from customer success leaders about how challenging is it to actually get a real buyer on a QBR. So many people are doing quarterly business reviews, but very few people actually being able to involve the decision makers in this process. Therefore, this insight is really precious and amazing.
And I referenced this slide earlier, so just to summarize, we'll go to this one.
Yeah, and this, Rick, this is the intersection, or not, this is the intersection of your incredible technology that you're taking in the public beta today on the technology side. And what we're showing here is that the technology from RevOS and then the knowledge from AskForensics together is where the intersection really makes the most sense. I guess put another way, the sum of the parts is greater than the whole here. And so when we think about, you may get a red or a yellow or a green light from RevOS, and the metrics, whatever you're choosing to look at. And then if you want to do a deeper dive on what we call the Pareto rule, and the Pareto rule says that 20% of your revenue typically comes from 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your clients. And so what we found is maybe you want to do a deeper dive if RevOS is giving you a red or a yellow light and you want to go deeper. And that's when we AskForensics and can go in and do the analysis for you. And I will say, to your point, Renat, we get 85% of the time we get to those end decision makers, that the C-suite or the higher ups that no one's talking to. So 85% of the time we're able to actually get them and do this interaction and get the open-ended responses.
It's amazing. It's really amazing. For comparison, I just yesterday had a conversation with a senior CSM leader from a large software company from US, and he mentioned the open rate of the NPS survey is around about 30%, and the reply rate is actually even lower. So all this let's send a net promoter score survey actually just capture 10% or 15% of the customers. This is and 85% is outstanding. Yeah.
And NPS programs are very valuable, and you can't have too much data on key accounts. And our focus is to provide that rich layer of insights on top of the other metrics to enable companies at that strategic level. To Alex's point, the 20% driving the 80%. Those are insights that can truly be used in a strategic way, and we find that executives really value having direct contact. They're really not often asked the questions that we ask. So it's many times therapeutic, and we almost get hit with a waterfall of insights. But it's a very healthy dialogue that you mentioned QBRs, having both the RevOS insights from the data and your analytics, coupled with deep, timely insights from the clients, those can be great inputs to a QBR. It can take those meetings to a much higher and productive level.
Yeah, absolutely. We're already getting a first question from Bali. I'm not sure if we should address them now or later.
Show what now?
Yeah,
Hit us with it.
questions. Yes, there's the first questions coming in. Let me just show it on the screen. So here's like if there's any ideas of how to improve the customer engagement with NPS survey. This is a very good question actually, and I think this is also a very good topic. Maybe Rick and Alex will just explain us their secrets today. Yeah, but what I heard so far, one of the good practices how to improve the response rate is actually asking the right people at the right time. So
that is correct. And in our universe, focusing on the top accounts, we first have our clients introduce us. We don't want to be reaching out to people blind. And in today's world, with everyone being mobile and remote, we schedule appointments. We don't want to be catching people at a busy time. And with those introductions and the appointments, and the fact that our clients' products and services are at a level where these executives have skin in the game, if you will. I mean, they have an investment themselves for to receive valuable support. Those are what we find as ingredients to achieving a very high response rate.
Great, thanks, Rick. Yeah. So, and shall we move to the next slide?
Let's do it. This is why we're here today. We're going to present a very rich case study that we think will resonate with everybody on this call. But before we get into it, I just want to kind of read this slide. AskForensics asks the questions that our clients get, and we get the answers that they don't. You know, we touched upon VOC and NPS programs, and those are very, very valuable. But by asking open-ended questions and probing and enabling these executives to open up, that's where you get those critical insights. Account health at the strategic level is really based upon nuances. And it's in the questions and the dialogues that we have. They don't come across as surveys, even though they're structured. But you uncover those nuances that are essential. And that is where we find the critical insights are for account teams and leadership executives to understand. So this is a case study of one of our clients' most critical accounts. And to set the stage, we administered our survey to two groups of respondents. One is the provider account team. By that, this is the account management team charged with delivering the service. And so they are the client-facing team from our client, if you will. And we asked open-ended questions just like we would to an executive decision maker. And it was very interesting. And the two red rectangles illustrate what we found as a gap. Our client's team felt that they were engaging with their client's leadership team and that they were a transparent partner, and they were managing the total account with these insights along this trail. Now let's take a look at what the clients told us. It's a much different story. They told us that the provider as an organization is ineffective. There is a stale relationship. There is a lack of partnership overall. I mean, this is a 180-degree gap. And again, to continue managing this account on this with the previous understanding would result and could result in the account affecting and terminating. And what we found was that by acting on these insights, our client was able to save the business. These actions have huge impacts beyond this client. Most companies, their valuation is based upon growth and profitability. And losing customers can impact at a public corporation level stock price and valuation, and even for smaller businesses, just impact your overall value and cash flow. So understanding these gaps and acting on them, we find is just essential for success. Alex, as a sales leader, I mean, you've seen this quite often in your world, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Rick. And Renat touched on it earlier, but when you think about QBRs and everyone's in the room, you're gathered around and you're really trying to figure out what your forecast accuracy is going to be like so you can set your budgets and make sure your go-to-market strategy is correct and you have the right personnel and the right playbooks. And frankly, this is probably the most important piece of the presentation, in my view, of what we can bring to the table for everyone. And that is that if you're gonna accurately predict and build a pipeline and figure out what that may look like, getting ahead of this before the renewal is so important. And the reality is NPS is very important. We all know that. We all agree. But if you're targeting people so low down in the organization, you're not actually getting your true decision maker. And the true decision makers are the ones that have the budget and the authority and the timeline to actually make it happen. And so this is very, very important to get ahead of it. And I'll also just say, a lot of the literature that's out right now, and a lot of the studies are showing that for SaaS-based companies, they're much more dependent today than they've ever been on renewals and rebids. In other words, there's fewer new logos to go after because everyone's already adopted this SaaS technology. And so you've got to engage with your existing clients and get those renewals now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so important because you just look at a cost of sale. The cost of acquiring a new logo is extensive. The cost to retain a logo is a lot less extensive, and you have a lot of resources and assets, if you will, to build on. But what is important for account leaders and senior leadership to understand is in all B2B accounts, you want to make sure that you are proactively addressing issues because you want to avoid the opportunity for your competitors to come in and with fresh eyes see the things that you should have been seeing and resolving all along. And so by understanding gaps, using the RevOS solution with all of your data and continually assessing that and acting on it with deep senior level insights, there's no better marriage of support than taking these actions or insights and acting on them.
Yes, absolutely. This is so frequently we also hear from all of our customers and also all of our people from the community how important is this proactivity, and also how much the proactive way differentiate between customer success and support, right? And so especially for larger accounts, when we're speaking about really large customers, the time to choose a new vendor and the process of choosing a new vendor is very lengthy. So your potential customer right now may be already speaking to competitor and doing proof of value and proof of concept and contract negotiation, and it can take a year. And if you don't really look into it very, very precisely, this year can be just passing away, and then the termination will be on the table very, very quickly.
That is so true.
Right.
And the tipping point that we continually see, both anecdotally in account evaluations, but also statistically across our big data, the tipping point in accounts moving from strong to vulnerable to damaged is not proactively sharing ideas and recommendations. And everyone on this call, if you have customers and you are not proactively sharing your ideas, do so immediately following this webinar, because your clients will appreciate it. And we always tell account leaders, even if 90% of your ideas are not applicable, the 10% that are could be home runs, to use baseball terminology from the US. But you can't share too many ideas because, again, you don't want your competitors stealing the initiative and doing that, and then you're having to react.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think we started already with a very good key takeaway. So speak to your customers immediately, just like after the end of the webinar. So you just go and do it. But I think this is not it, right? So we have another recommendations.
It is. I mean, brush fires can turn into conflagrations very quickly. And the sooner you act on insights, when they're manageable, gaps, I should say, when they're manageable, the more success you will have. Dealing with small issues is a lot easier than dealing with big ones. And what we very much stress is you want to avoid problems escalating to the senior executive level. If you can contain the small gaps at the day-to-day tactical level, you will be much more successful. Companies recognize that you can't be perfect all of the time, but they do see how you act and respond. So at the earliest indication of either data or insights from the client, if you act on them, you will be much more successful.
Yeah, and the second observation recommendation is to continually monitor performance against your essential KPIs. And of course, every organization has slightly nuanced, and every industry has slightly different essential KPIs, but there are some universal ones. And what we feel here is that if you can assess with RevOS, in other words, your initial speed check, if you will, is RevOS, and then for your larger, your accounts that are absolutely critical to your company, the 20% that drive the 80% of revenue, you dig deeper with AskForensics and get into the executive level, the decision maker level, and find out if there is a brush fire or if it's almost a forest fire.
And our third recommendation, we could probably come up with about 10, but we only have 30 minutes for this webinar. But our third recommendation is to treat rebid sales initiatives like they are new opportunities. Your competitors are coming in with their best talent to displace you. And we oftentimes see that new sales pursuits are managed by the sales group, and rebids and renewals are managed more by the operations teams. So we oftentimes see that good operations people are up against very good sales executives, and they're different skill sets, and it's very easy to get outmaneuvered when you're up against an aggressive sales force that is coming in with everything they have to win. So you want to stymie your competitors' efforts from even getting in the door. Even better, alleviate an RFP going out to begin with. So these are our three recommendations. Things are digestible in groups of three, so we thought we'd stop here with those. But acting on these, we are confident will have a measurable and significant impact on your company's growth. As I mentioned, AskForensics has extensive data, both statistical and unstructured. And we have, using this data, we've put together very compelling knowledge share presentations that really cover the full spectrum of the sales and account relationship. Why are new sales won or lost? Why are current accounts strong, vulnerable, and damaged? And why are rebid sales won and lost? Many of these points we touched on today, but our big data goes much further, along with recommendations to continually improve. And anyone on this webinar, if there's interest in a complimentary knowledge share session, we can limit them in an abbreviated format or an extensive format. Feel free to email us at the address on the screen.
Perfect. So and this is our last slide for today. So we just have a little bit of contact information if you would like to reach out and really drive deeper on get yourself more into the details and also speak to us. we now have a short time for questions. So as it's a live webinar, I really encourage everyone just to use the opportunity to ask questions, as they can be really answered from the experts during the call. So while we are still gathering the questions, I actually wanted also to ask you, Rick, especially in the environment as we're now, every engagement, every project, every new software purchase needs to be really justified, right? Can you maybe go a bit more on the topic, like what kind of improvements have you seen companies experience when active on objectives of customer insight, and maybe also quantify it in a way? You just mentioned like one customer didn't churn. Maybe you can get more details on it.
Oh, we have some compelling data that we recently learned about from a longstanding client, and they tracked this. We didn't. But prior to our involvement, they did not retain any of their damaged accounts. Now, fortunately, damaged accounts, that represents a small percentage, probably 8%. In fact, just to kind of take a step backwards, it's a bell-shaped curve. Damaged, vulnerable, strong. The strong and the damaged are outliers. The vulnerable is the bulk. But our client was not able to retain any of those accounts. After we were deployed and we started supporting them and providing insights on all of their accounts, but the damaged ones in particular, they retained up to 70% of their damaged accounts.
Oh.
This translates into millions of US dollars and euros in top and bottom line growth. So that's a key metric that our client tracked and shared with us.
That's very interesting. It's really, I think, a very good justification, a business case of retention, especially in our environment right now. And what do you think? How should the company identify such accounts which need this more deep dive and actually external support to get into this additional insight? What are the primary indicators?
Well, there are probably two sources of insights that we see. One is, getting to Alex's point, KPIs, and Renat, RevOS does a great job with that, right? You're continually monitoring the data and highlighting health. So when you look at account health, particularly in your larger accounts, those are ones that would be candidates for deeper dives. So that is one level. We use an objective, ongoing, systematic assessment tool and platform to do that. The other is to act on insights. Oftentimes, senior leadership, they can read the tea leaves, if you will, and oftentimes they sense when the direct account teams are either masking what the client's telling them, or they just know the client's not telling them the truth. Those gut level instincts kick in, and that's another way to address them. And to getting to a point Alex mentioned earlier, you look at the Pareto rule. If you're in the C-suite and you have a client responsible for a significant percentage of your business, and you sense there is a gap, it impacts more than the account team if that client is lost. So that's another way that we see candidates being selected.
Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. And also maybe just my last question, as we are running out of time. This case study was very impressive. And what in your opinion, what are the primary reasons why there is such a big gap between what a vendor thought about their situation and what the customer actually reported? Why such a gap existed actually, or create?
A lot of it, Renat, comes to human behavior. If I was to ask you, how did I do in today's webinar? You'd probably say, Rick, you did a pretty good job. Alex, you too. But behind the scenes, you may say, oh my God, those guys. That's human nature, right? You don't want to be confrontational. There's a relationship. So oftentimes, even when an account team, the client-facing team, in an objective manner, just tries to say, how are we doing? it's most likely going to be the feedback's going to be muted and masked. So that's one thing that we see. The other is what I alluded to earlier, and that is sometimes a client team does get the proper feedback, or at least to some level, and there is a concern of sharing that higher, so they suppress it. We see that a lot, and we're not out to get anybody in trouble. I mean, it's all about being in this together as an organization. But those are the primary reasons why. And probably the third is, we're asking questions that these clients have not been asked before. We're really stretching their thought process. When we ask, hey, what did you think of this, of our discussion? We're hearing comments like, wow, this was challenging, or this is more in depth than I thought. And these are from senior executives, but again, they're opening up. But the bottom line is, we really advocate that account leaders should not be concerned, because if by learning the truth, both from your data and our insights and other platforms, they're securing and promoting their future and success. So the insights are going to come out either through surveys or by actions by your clients defecting to somebody else.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally makes sense. Yeah, it's also interesting. This resonates a lot with me, to be honest, as we are working between different cultures, like German culture or American culture. We're having a number of customers from US. This level of directness is completely different. So if we were to be on a German webinar and you will ask me, Rick, how I did, and I will be very German. I'm not German. I'm originally coming from Russia. I would tell you, oh no, I would immediately tell you the truth, So the people in Germany are very direct, where I think in US people are, I think, more excited or easier to excite about. So this is definitely also a nice, I think, a cultural difference, and also I think one of the reasons why United States is such a world leader in variety of different industries, as well as in new technologies, because of this built-in excitement. So this is amazing characteristics. Yeah.
I think you're right, Renat. I was going to actually add that I think that sales teams tend to be optimistic people. They're go-getters, they're alpha types, just going to go do it, go get it. And frankly, that does impede their ability to see the negative sometimes, because they're just glass half full instead of just seeing the glass as it is.
Yeah, true. Great, awesome. So we are slightly over the time. I hope everyone just forgive us that we spent so much time on some additional slides and so on. But it was great having you guys, Rick, Alex. Thank you very much for your excellent presentation. A lot of insight, a lot of interesting information to digest. And we're also going to distribute the slides to all participants of today's webinar. And hope to speak to you soon next time about our additional topics, because I think the topics are so exciting, so interesting. Would be really glad to have you again here.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being a part of this, and we appreciate the invitation.
Thanks, Renat. This was great.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Rick. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
So...